During World War II, hundreds of fighter planes flew in the sky. They had many jobs like fighting other planes, attacking the ground, bombing lightly, guiding other planes, and spying from the air. These planes were made in many countries, including Japan, Germany, the Soviet Union, Great Britain, America, France, and Italy. Some other countries like Czechoslovakia, the Netherlands, Australia, Finland, Hungary, Poland, Romania, and Yugoslavia also made fighter planes. Often, pilots flew planes that were made in different countries from their own. We've already made 2 videos about some of the best pilots of World War II, but now we want to talk about the planes they flew. In this video, we're going to share our top 10 favorite fighter planes from 5 countries that were in the war. Each plane had its own special things it was good at, and a lot of times, how well they did depended on the pilots flying them and the people in charge. Stick around until the end of the video because we're going to tell you which one we think was the best fighter plane of World War II out of the top 10 we mentioned. The Mitsubishi A6M0 was Japan's most famous plane during World War II. It was really quick and could go far, and they used it all the way to the end of the war. At first, it was really amazing compared to other planes because it could move fast, climb high, and was great at turning quickly. The Zero was so good that for every one of them shot down, it shot down 12 other planes. But as the war went on, other countries made even better planes, and the Zero started to fall behind a bit. Even though they made some new versions of the Zero, it wasn't the top fighter anymore. Still, they made almost 11,000 Zeros during the war, and it was the main plane Japan used for quick turns and fast dogfights, which are battles between planes in the sky. The Messerschmitt Bf 109 was a really cool plane used by Germany in World War II. It was fast and had a strong engine. This plane was super important for Germany's Air Force, called the Luftwaffe. It carried their best pilot, Erich Hartmann, and many other great pilots to lots of wins in the sky. The Bf 109 started as a plane meant to stop other planes, but then it could do more things like helping bombers, dropping small bombs, attacking things on the ground, and spying from the air. When Germany was using a strategy called Blitzkrieg, the Bf 109 was really good at controlling the sky. It could climb higher and move better than many other planes. But during the Battle of Britain, when it had to help bombers, its short flying range made it less effective compared to Britain's Spitfire plane. The Bf 109 kept flying until Germany surrendered, but they were starting to use a different plane more by the end. Still, from 1935 to 1945, they made almost 34,000 of these planes, and they were used in the Spanish Civil War and World War II. The Focke-Wulf FW-190 was the plane that replaced the Bf 109 for Germany. It could carry more stuff, which meant it could do a lot of different jobs. It could fight during the day and night, drop bombs, and attack things on the ground. For a while, it was even better than the British Spitfire plane, giving the British Royal Air Force, RAF, a tough time. But then, the RAF made their Spitfire better, and the battle in the skies got really intense. The FW-190 could carry a lot more weapons than the Bf-109, and it was still fast and easy to move around in the sky. German pilots really liked this plane, and many of them, called aces, won a lot of fights while flying it. This plane was a big deal in the air from August 1941 until the end of the war. They made over 20,000 of these planes from 1939 to 1945. Some people think that if Germany had started using the FW-190 earlier in the war, things might have been different. The Yakovlev Yak-3, a plane from the Soviet Union, joined World War II a bit late in June 1944, but it quickly showed how good it was. It became known as the best dogfighter on the Eastern Front, which means it was great in air battles. The Yak-3 was better at flying moves than the German planes like the Bf-109 and FW-190, and some even thought it was better than the British Spitfire and the American P-51 Mustang. The Yak-3 was not only powerful but also easy to fly and forgiving if pilots made small mistakes. It worked really well when it was flown lower than 13,000 feet, or about 4 kilometers. Just after it joined the war, there was a big air fight where 18 Yak-3S fought 24 German planes. The Yak-3S did so well that they only lost 1 plane while the Germans lost 15. This battle made the German Air Force stop flying in that area. From March 1944 to August 1946, they made about 4,850 Yak-3s. The Supermarine Spitfire from Britain is one of the most famous planes ever, especially because of its role in the Battle of Britain. In that battle, the Spitfire was really important because it could fly farther than the German Messerschmitt Bf 109, and it helped Britain a lot. It was a plane that was easy to handle and very forgiving, which means pilots didn't have too much trouble if they made a small mistake. Even though it had a lot of weapons, the Spitfire was still a smooth and graceful plane to fly. It was especially good at flying at low heights. Whenever an enemy plane was better, the Spitfire got updated to keep up, making it the most produced fighter plane in Britain. They made more than 20,000 Spitfires between 1938 and 1948. The best British pilot, Johnny Johnson, flew a Spitfire and won 38 fights in the air during the war. The United States made some really great planes during the war, and the next 5 we're going to talk about are all from the US. The F-4U Corsair, made by Chance Vaught, was super important in the Pacific part of the war. It was much better than the Japanese Zero, especially when it was used on aircraft carriers and for attacking things on the ground. The Corsair was really successful in fights against the Japanese planes, with a record of winning 11 times for every 1 time it was defeated. Some Japanese pilots even said the Corsair was the best all-around fighter plane the Americans had. The first pilot to become really famous using the Corsair, Kenneth Ambrose Walsh, said that if you were flying higher than the enemy, you could control the fight, and the Zero couldn't do much about it. The Corsair did so well that it was also used in the Korean War, fighting against Soviet planes. They made more than 12,500 Corsairs between 1942 and 1953. The P-47 Thunderbolt, made by Republic Aviation, was one of the strongest and heaviest fighters in the war. It could weigh as much as 8 tons when it had all its weapons and bombs. This plane could carry rockets, or even one really big bomb, and it had 8 powerful machine guns. Because it could carry so much, the Thunderbolt was used for different kinds of missions like fighting other planes in the sky, protecting bombers, dropping its own bombs, and attacking targets on the ground. It was especially good at flying really high up. The Thunderbolt was like a flying tank. A famous German pilot, Heinz Bahr, said it could take a lot of damage and keep flying. But another German pilot, Kurt Bulligan, thought it was too heavy for some flying moves and said he could avoid it easily. They made more than 15,600 Thunderbolts between 1941 and 1945. The P-51 Mustang, made by North American Aviation, was another great fighter plane. It was used in both World War II and the Korean War that came after. The British Royal Air Force, RAF, actually asked for this plane to be made because they needed a new fighter that could be built a lot of. When they changed its engine to a Rolls-Royce Merlin, the Mustang became really good at competing with German planes. The Mustang was great at escorting bombers and could also be used as a fighter bomber, which means it could fight other planes and drop bombs. It was known for being good at many things, but it was especially known for flying far and really high. The RAF started using the Mustang early in 1942, and they made more than 15,000 of them. The P-38 Lightning, made by Lockheed, was not like other fighter planes. It had a really unique design with 2 engines and long wings, but it was still a super strong plane. Its special design let it fly farther than many other fighters, which was great for flying over large areas of water. People often said it was one of the sleekest planes ever made. The Lightning was good at many things in the sky. It could fight other planes, attack targets on the ground, protect other planes on long flights, and do long spy missions. It did really well in the Pacific area of the war and in the China-Burma-India theater. America's top pilot, Rich Dick Bong, became famous flying this plane. Some German pilots called it the fork-tailed devil, and the Japanese said it was like 2 planes with 1 pilot. The Lightning was used as long as America was in the war, and they made more than 10,000 of them. Before we talk about the best fighter plane, let's mention a really unique one from World War II, the Vought Vi-173, also known as the Flying Pancake. This plane had a really unusual design and looked quite different from other planes. Some people even joked that it was designed by aliens because it looked so strange, almost like a UFO. It was first made in November 1942, and there were all sorts of funny stories and pictures about it being a UFO until around March 1947. But really, it wasn't anything mysterious. After its time in the air, the flying pancake was taken to a museum where people could see how different it was from typical planes. They only made one of these planes, and it never actually flew in any battles during the war. It was more of a special design that stood out because of how it looked. So after looking at all these amazing planes, which one was the best overall? Our pick is the Lockheed P-38 Lightning. This plane was super flexible for long trips and really kind to its pilots. It was made a lot during the whole time America was in the war, and pilots loved how it flew and fought. Even German aces knew it was tough to beat in a fight. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your support means the world to us, and it helps us keep bringing you more great content. Thanks for being part of our community.